Alrighty, one more time, I'd like to welcome those out today to the Hurley Investments Financial Services Commentary on Tuesday, June 6th. And I'm going to start off with a couple questions, the questions I've had in regards to the market over the last, I'm going to really say the last couple weeks. I have been thinking heavily on what's going on and why. So, Maud, we need to talk sometime tomorrow, just as a heads up. Alrighty. I'm curious from you guys, what will happen to the typical June swoon this month? I guess I call it a June swoon. Yeah, let's just say this year. Give me some thoughts. What are your thoughts on a June swoon? Gonna happen? Not gonna happen? What are your thoughts behind that? Shallow dip. So Maud has some idea here. Something's delayed the market, a shallow dip. Dave, going to continue higher with progress in Wall Street. Did you mean Wall Street there, or did you mean um, Washington? I don't know if Wall Street has any progress. Just saying. There you go. Yeah. Progress in Washington. It could be. In fact, if I can take a second there to go over it, I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm in financials. Financials. Just like Soros. Um, Soros. Oh, I'm blanking on the other name of the other big guy that's in financials. Soros. Jeez, I completely spacing the name. Soros. I'm not going to remember it. I'm waiting for financial reformation. And I don't know a better way to say it other than they're going to reform some of the bank rules that have made it so hard to lend. They open up the rules. I mean, golly, you saw Zion's Bank run up to almost $50 a share just so we could, just on the thought that they'd loosen up the financial regulations so they could lend more. I'll be honest with you, a lot could break free, especially this year, if they could just, if the Republicans, for all intents and purposes, could just get some things pushed through on their side. Maud said a shallow dip, and Lance said, Kevin, I think we could get a 5 to 7% pullback. Just looking at the charts, the Dow Industrial doesn't show a whole lot of strength. It's pulling back off of the new highs, but on the RSI, it was not pulling back off of an overbought territory. Something to notice that I found interesting is if you take a quick peek, I'm going to get my my pencil. There usually comes a time when you see a significant difference between the two, the 50-day and the 200-day, or a significant difference between the current price and the 200-day. simple moving average. It's nothing more than a discrepancy where you run out of buyers. And when you run out of buyers, you can't get incrementally higher. So when you hear someone talk about a widening between the actual price, the 50-day and the 200-day, or the 50-day and the the actual price and the 200-day, normally when you see these type of extensions, you get that pullback or that correction. In this case, it was about a 20% correction. And this just comes down to a shallow dip or an algorithm dip to, hey, we've gotten ahead of ourselves. There's a big expansion between those two, and then you see that correction where you've run out of incremental buyers and you're now off to a healthy pullback is what's typically called. With that said, if you take a look at the S&P 500, you can see that that did hit. It hit, come on. It hit the RSI overbought limit line. And it just pulled back, but it's still obviously bullish. So obviously pretty interesting there, but if I was to go back and tell you, obviously, we are once again in a wait and see mode. Wait and see some kind of progress. But, and I'm sorry, I think it was David that said it earlier, but David, for all intents and purposes, you've got Congress going on their summer break. So if you do a little bit of research, if you're going to do a little bit of research, this is nothing more than a typical GOP, Congress, Senate summer break. There are no more catalysts by way of politics to put out there, and so you usually call it a June swoon, where you'll historically see a bit of a pullback in the market. It's not one of the bigger ones. It's not a February, a September, an October. It's just a simple, usually 5 to 7% expected pullback. Who else said that? Lance. So Lance asked, what do I think? And I'm going to go with Mod. I'm going to go with a 5. Well, I'm going to start off with a 2% to maybe 5% pullback. Not a correction. There's still too much opportunity by way of tax reformation, repatriation, Dodd-Frank rules. There's a lot there that can move our market higher into I guess into 2018. My worry is if we don't see the earnings catch up, and unfortunately it seems like retail sale earnings, bank earnings, and I guess let's say financial earnings, not bank earnings, but retail, financial, and energy seems to be down. I believe that's a pretty significant part of the S&P 500. And with that being a pretty significant part of the S&P 500, I would in all honesty expect that to how would I say it? I would expect that to be a problem in seeing our market go higher throughout the summer. Mod, don't have to pass healthcare before taxes. Congress' own rules. Thought I heard that today. Yes, you did hear the opportunity that said we can possibly. You can do a business tax and an individual tax reformation, but that doesn't change the taxes that are in some of Dodd-Frank. So really it's a cluster. It'd be easier to wipe Dodd-Frank off the books, Obamacare with those extra taxes that are thrown into that. What Congress and what I understood Ryan wanted to do was wipe that off the books so they can just do an all-inclusive tax package. What you're going to look at if they do not repeal Obamacare, the taxes that are increased there, as well as some of them in Dodd-Frank, they are piecemealing a tax a tax plan together. But yes, you did see that today on, hey, we can make some progress in some areas that might help people overall. The problem is, and I don't want to call it a democratic problem because that is not accurate. The problem is that in order to be re-elected, you need tax dollars to do something. So I think more people in Congress are willing to, they want the higher taxes to have that money to do something. So for all intents and purposes, we are somewhat screwed in that regard. I don't have a better way to say it than that. So just an idea, heads up. So there's my question there. So now I'm going to go into a little bit of thought process for you. Forward. Will they continue to go lower? What are the thought process there? Yes or no? Will Ford continue to go lower? And for those of you that don't know, let me bring up a Ford chart really quickly. In fact, I'm going to bring Ford out as much as I can. Lance says no. Lance, if you look at Ford, will Ford go lower? Ford with a 5% dividend payment right now. That is a pretty healthy dividend payment. But what do you think? Will Ford go lower? Okay, David says no. It could, but probably not. Keeve, I think you're in here. Type something in. Will Ford go lower? Barbara, I have not heard you say anything yet today, Barbara. Will Ford go lower? Barbara says probably not. For those that say probably not, why? And Lance, for those that they're saying yes, why? Lance just said Yes, but I knew you'd ask me. Maud says good support. David says good support and at a multi-year low. Maud says support at 1050. Man, Lance, you're killing me. Lance wrote a small book. Lance, we have topped out on sales of cars in the U.S., which means less cars are going to be sold, which means less profit for Ford. Ford also has not caught up with General Motors, Chevy. General Motors and Chevy are the same people. General Motors, Chevy, Lincoln, and other dealers for their IR, for their, it's probably AR, the, what do they call it? The active learning, but it's not called that. I understand what you're saying there. Artificial intelligence, that's what you're looking for. AI. You have AR, I'm assuming that's AI. Um, before I finish with the rest of that, Lance, but they are the number one seller here in the U.S., and they're doing it in trucks. So there is a big opportunity there for there's a big opportunity there for Ford still to be the number one seller of cars here in the United States, and it's not through compact cars, full-size cars. It's going to be through trucks. Kiev typed in, could go down lower support at 9 and 10 as shareholders will stay above 11. Kiev is a technical guy. I would agree with that as well. I'm going to say it's a multi-year low at some historical profits. They are getting dinged because of the risk that Ford also carries, which is a big revenue for them. Ford carries the financing for people that buy their cars. So they carry the financing and they make money on that financing for people that need to finance their car. A lot of us pay Ford a higher amount and we then refinance it after 6 months to get the spiff. But yes, they're being penalized right now for a huge leg of revenue that comes to their company by having their sorry, I can't do two things at once, by having that other revenue stream. What about Apple? Will Apple go higher? These are kind of the thought processes that you guys want to have as you're looking at the stocks you're investing in. Will Apple go higher? Of course they will. They're going to sell a ton of iPhone 8s. Higher because of the iPhone 8 refresh. And if I can put in there for you, Lance, even if they have some supply constraints. There was a big article that, hey, they're going to have some supply constraints because of their iPhone. Abraham said, not to me. Abraham, did I say Abraham just there? If I did, I apologize. But Apple will probably go higher. They also have most robust Mac, new operating system, and AI developers incentives. So there is some opportunity there if you guys would want it. No apple, just apple juice for me. Okay, let me go through a couple others. What about Disney? Will it go higher? You have to build your thesis on, and that's funny. I have let's hope, probably, it should. Give me some facts. Build a thesis. With all due respect, I don't want to hear from those three. I hope. Give me a reason. Sell me on why Disney's going to go higher. Let me understand what your thought process is before you'd invest in something. David, because they have movies, yes. So let's go ahead and just say 5 blockbuster billion-dollar movies on tap for 2017. I'd agree 100%. Give me another reason why. Multiple theme parks worldwide, lots of new movies, media. So yes, I will give that one too. Let's just say better markets equal more money equal more people attending Disneylands worldwide. I like that one. I think that was Maud. Maud, good answer there. Very good answer. No, Kiev. Any good news on ESPN? There, okay. Kiev's got me going there. I would probably tell you ESPN not as bad as reported right now and into the future. Correct. You guys, I like all these answers, to be 100% honest with you. Doing good, doing good, doing good. All right. I just wanted to get you guys to think a little bit, to get a little thinking to go through your heads on why you're investing in certain things. You're now understanding this thinking of why I'm invested in certain things. If I can throw one of my other ones in here, Zions Bank is waiting on Dodd-Frank repeal and to lessen the loan restrictions so they can move easily $20 higher with earnings to back the increase in stock price. Basically, they can move into a valuation at $60 a share with any type of reformation on Dodd-Frank. What's happening this week? It's a slow week. With that said, productivity was better than expected, came in at 0.0 versus -2. Unit labor costs, cheaper than expected, 2.2 versus 3.0. Factory orders were down. They were a -0.2 versus 1.0. And ISM services was down to 56.9 versus 57.6. We have conflicting data coming in right now. Some ridiculously conflicting data, which makes it difficult to be able to find a direction in the stock market. With that said, obviously, you're looking at needing, as I talked about last week, I am needing to find a way to sell some premium in my options. will the market end this week? I really have no idea. I wouldn't feel comfortable giving you a guess. Last week I was wrong. I'm glad I was wrong last week. Nice to be wrong when you have the markets going ridiculously higher. We'll take it. We've gone through our two charts, but if you look at the NASDAQ, overbought, bullish, but again, 30% of this move is based on FANG, and I guess they're now six and FANG counting NVIDIA, which really doesn't have that big of a market cap. I'm still going to go with my negative 2% in June. There are no earnings that are coming up, not a whole lot of economic reports. I think the biggest announcement will be on Thursday, the ECB announcement, which will probably mean Draghi and so forth is not going to touch anything. He's just going to keep going as things have been going. And you'll have the China inflation numbers to see if that is in check or not. You do have Sunday Japan machine orders that may, and PPI, which may affect, it could affect futures on Monday. How am I looking to trade? I am trying to find a bit of a pullback. I don't count the 2 days, a bit of a pullback, but I am trying to find some type of little pullback and increase to get our VIX back up to 12. So my trigger is the VIX at 12 to start to try to sell some premium. I found some pretty interesting information here. Big market movers, investors are quite ready to repull the trigger on the Trump trade. Just some things to look at on how other parts of the world are looking to be a better investment than the U.S. and how that's moving on ETFs in certain parts of the world. I found an interesting article on fast rising home prices finally hit a wall. Why people are no longer able to afford the huge jump up in the home prices that have occurred most recently. Again, I do think that the jump up, though, is localized, meaning there are certain areas where you've got great home prices and there are other areas where you do not. If you don't have those bigger or better home prices in certain areas, it's really interesting to take a peek. Abraham actually gave us a little interesting tidbit here on Disney. Abraham, what I'm going to try to do is try to copy and paste that so that well, I'm trying to copy that so I can send it out to people. I'm sorry. Last but not least, I've got a very interesting article on some reasons why you could see a market crash. This one's a little bit older, but again, I found as I went through this, every reason they gave is still out there for us to look at and for us to worry about. So it'll be interesting to see if some of that can become, I guess, for all intents and purposes, if it can become, if it can come to pass, would be the short answer there. I did get that, so let me see if I just can't get that in for Disney. All right, guys, any questions you guys have that I could go over with you today? Any questions about anything in the stock market, of things I'm looking at? Anything I can go over with you today that might be of help? If there are not, I will get this posted on my Hurley investment. Just to let you know, I'll be here next week, and the week after I will probably be gone, in which case I'm going to have one of my younger members of the Hurley Investments run the Hurley Investments midweek chat. That will be Keeve Bybee. Phenomenal, in my opinion, a phenomenal spread trader, but has come to find the advantage and the beauty of doing of doing what do you call it? Doing collar trades. Maud, please find the time to get that form into me when you get a chance. I know you're busy. Having a wonderful summer, I hope. Guys, you have a wonderful night. I appreciate you being here with me today. Look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll go from there. You guys take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.